Hey guys, out here to go over patch 9.2.3, simple bug fix patch, but they did finally buff Myers, who was absolutely pathetically bad since the rework. And I do need to make it clear, a lot of the changes that Myers got here are just really unnerfing things they unnecessarily nerfed about him to begin with. So it's not even like they're buffing him from his original. It's more like they're just undoing the damage that they did. But some of these are genuine buffs as well. So overall, I think this is going to make Myers a lot more pleasant to play. However, this is also at a time where the game itself really is a lot tougher for just basic M1 killers that don't really have much of a way to circumvent a lot of pallets clustered together. So even though they have made Myers significantly better with these changes, he's still not going to be a very good killer in this form of the game. So he's still very low tier, at least in my opinion. But this will make him feel a lot better to play, and I'm going to test him a lot today to really get a good gauge of it. But overall, it's not going to do too much to make him jump out of low tier, but let's go over the changes that they did. First up, they added a 20% bonus to stun recovery and breaking speed while in Evil Incarnate. So basically, all they did was copy the Pursuer mode buffs that he already had into Evil Incarnate. I don't know why it wasn't like this to begin with. It makes no sense that you're in tier 2, basically, and then you go to your super-powered Evil Incarnate form, and now you're more susceptible to stuns, and you kick pallets slower. Like, it just made no sense, like, thematically. Why would you get even weaker? If anything, the bonuses should keep stacking as you get stronger and stronger. It just made no sense. So, at the very least, now you get the free mini Enduring and the free Brutal Strength effect while you're in Evil Incarnate, which is great. Still, the Enduring is not going to be enough to do, like, a same-side double hit or anything like that. So, you know, it's marginally useful. It's one of those things where it's like, it's like nice to have, but it's not going to really change too many situations. And the faster pallet kicking speed is not going to be super important because you'll likely just be zoning and breaking the pallet with your power anyway. So it'll be useful sometimes, but this is less useful than you would think. But it's still nice to have because, again, thematically, it made no sense that you would go up to tier 3 and then become weaker than you were in tier 2 in regards to pallets and stuff. So I think that's a good change to have. I honestly wouldn't mind this going up to like 30 or something like that, just because Myers still really doesn't have much to down good survivors. So I think that would be fine, but that's okay for now. Evil Incarnate now lasts 60 seconds from 40. But again, it originally lasted 60, so this is just simply undoing a nerf. The original duration was 60 seconds. They nerfed it to 40. Now it's back to 60 again, so it's hard for me to go, nice Myers buffs. It's more, nice Myers unnerfed, so good. That's very good. That's absolutely how it should be. Increased movement speed while activating Evil Incarnate to 4.6 was 3.4. This is actually pretty huge. So this actually was one of the main problems I had with the new Myers, is that you'd sneak up to somebody and then you try to kill them when you switch into Evil Incarnate, but you'd have to slow down and look at your knife. Now you have to look at your knife, but at least you can keep up with them, or rather outspeed them now. You're not getting slowed to a much slower speed than the survivors. So at least there'll be a scenario there where maybe you have to like get to a window to cut them off now, rather than just watching them go to a powder window and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's good. The fact that there's no slowdown there is great. It gives survivors a chance to do something, but the killer is also now not losing distance while that's happening. I think that's an okay compromise to fixing the issue that Myers had, where it feels really shitty to be 99 because a Myers stalked your teammate that just wasn't paying attention, and then you die for it instantly without having any chance to do anything. I get that that was a huge problem for the killer and needed to be addressed, so maybe this is the best of both worlds there. The killer can still not lose distance, but the survivor's got a chance to go to a window now. It's just way less punishing for Myers now. So in theory, strength-wise, he just simply wouldn't have that issue to begin with, but I understand why it is the case. They would just need to buff everything else about him in order to justify removing that greatest strength that he had, which is sneaking up on the very best players and just killing them before they can react. So hopefully that's a good compromise. I'll have to test it, but we'll see. Slaughtering Strike's movement speed is 7.5 with 6.9. Again, it was 7.5 on the PTB, so they're just putting it back to what it used to be. It was unnecessarily nerfed back to regular lunge speed, which is 6.9. So that's great. It'll make it so it's a bit easier to actually hit people with your power now, because Slaughtering Strike is frankly just terrible, and making it go faster than, like, say, a Pig Ambush, which I believe is 6.9, would be good. So that should make it a bit easier to actually hit people with it. It's not crazy fast, but it's, you know, noticeably faster to the point where it might get you a hit now where you wouldn't have previously. They've also increased Slaughtering Strike's turning sensitivity, and apparently they are also going to just remove it entirely. This I don't understand. So they increase the turning sensitivity, which means you're now more mobile while turning while using it. But then at the same time, they said in the next PTB, we'll be removing this modifier. Why didn't they just do it now? surely it's not so complicated that they couldn't just... This makes no sense to me. Why would you increase the sensitivity and then say it's going away entirely soon, but we just couldn't get around to it? It seems like it would take 2 seconds to remove that. I don't know the way the spaghetti is tangled there to make it more complicated than they're letting on here. Obviously, there's the case there. It must be more complicated than I'm letting on. I don't know how that's possible, but they must have done it in a very jank way to where they just can't remove it without breaking Pig or something like that. So it actually probably Pig, because it might have been based off of Ambush. Actually, it's very possible. I said that as a joke, but it is kind of like Ambush. So maybe they did use the same base function for it, and just, whatever. But the point is, the whole sensitivity thing will be going away at some point. So that's good, I guess. I don't know why. I'm not going to question anything. My brain's going to explode. But the sensitivity is better now, and it'll be gone next patch, I guess. They also removed the vertical camera restriction while performing a slaughtering strike, which is good because it was very annoying. You could be looking down and, I don't know, someone was below you, someone was crouching, they were outside your FOV or something like that. You would look down and then you would go to slaughtering strike and your camera would just go up like this, which means it was actually kind of easy to spin the power because you would actually just straight up lose vision of them because your camera would auto adjust to a perfect horizontal line, basically. And that was really annoying. So I'm glad they removed that. That'll make it a lot harder to actually dodge the ability, which, frankly, if you're in melee range, you should probably get hit by the ability. It shouldn't be easy to spin, basically, because your camera gets locked. So I think that is a very good change. They've also decreased slaughtering strikes cooldown to 4 seconds, was 6 seconds. Again, I don't know why it has a cooldown at all. I don't think it needs to have a cooldown. There are a lot of times where I use the power to successfully zone somebody, and then I just have to just stare at them for a few seconds until they make it to something else, which is extremely frustrating. Hopefully shortening the cooldown, there won't be a pallet 4 seconds away, he says with the clueless emote from Twitch. But hopefully that will be enough to not, punish people that zone correctly with the power. So we'll see. That might be just acceptable, I guess. You get way more blood points now for hitting a slaughtering strike. Basically 4 times as many. Always fine there. Huge one here. They decreased Pursuer Mode's tear radius to 16, was 24. But again, just simply unnerfing what they nerfed for no reason. Pursuer Mode, which was tier 2, already had a 16 meter tear radius. So they put it to 24 for no reason. Now it's back down to 16 again. So things like Dead Rabbit and Monitor Abuse are going to feel pretty good. I think because Monitor was slightly nerfed, you're going to have an 8 meter tear radius instead of a 6 meter tear radius, which is, it's fine. But for the most part, it is going to be a lot better for sneaking up on people and getting much closer before they have a chance to run away. There were a couple of add-ons that gave you undetectable, or there was one add-on that gave you undetectable when you used Evil Incarnate, but they still had the musical chime to indicate it was happening, so it still gave them some type of warning. So overall, very happy to see that. And they also decreased the terror radius from Evil Incarnate back down to 32. Again, unnecessarily nerfed it to 40. Really, 80% of the shit is just, okay, we realize we nerfed the killer who was already terrible for no reason, so we're fixing that. But now we also have Slaughtering Strike on top of that stuff. So now I would say Myers is probably stronger than the old Myers. Not by very much, but he's probably stronger than the old Myers now, which, thank God. Again, I'm going to be testing him all day today on stream just to really get a good feel of it. I feel like he's still going to feel terrible, but that's mostly because of the palette density changes and not necessarily the killer itself. But overall, step in the right direction, in my opinion. Basically just straight buffs across the board. They finally did not make a change where they're like, hey, we removed the vertical camera restriction, but now he moves at 4.4. Like, there was no concessions here. It's just buff, 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 buff. Literally a machine gun of buffs. Again, I must reiterate, which is really just reversing a nerf. How would you reverse nerf? Nerf. Fert. That's what it would sound like. It's a fern gun. I am rambling like an old man. Thanks for watching. See you next time.